Live from the Business RadioX studio inside Renaissance Bank, the bank that specializes in understanding you. It's time for North Fulton Business Radio.
And hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of North Fulton Business Radio. I'm John Ray, and folks, we are thankfully inside Renaissance Bank on Windward Parkway in Alpharetta, as we've got all sorts of rain coming through today. But before we get started with our great guest, I want to just remind you that Renaissance is big enough to handle pretty much any need you can throw at them, but small enough to do it in a personal way. I know this myself because I and my clients have experienced this kind of service. So if your small business needs an upgrade in personal relationships because you're not getting that at your big bank, then go to renaissancebank.com, find their local office. They've got some 200 across the South open and ready to serve you, and give them a call. And they'll be glad to make an appointment with you, have you come in and talk over your needs and see if it's a great fit. Renaissance Bank, understanding you, member FDIC. And now I want to welcome Roanna Rhodes. Roanna is the owner, CEO of Roanna Rhodes Life Coaching. Roanna, welcome.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. So let's talk about you and how you're serving folks out there. Tell us about your coaching practice.
I am the owner and CEO of Roanna Rhodes Life Coaching. This coaching practice helps stressed out, overwhelmed, guilt-ridden moms create clarity and calmness within their homes and within their lives.
That's a great business. I can see how that your work is much needed. Talk about how your journey, maybe how you got into this business.
Right. Before I ever was a coach or ever thought about being a coach, I was a client of a coach. And what had happened in my life was that we had moved here to Georgia. We had been here about a year and a half, and I hadn't made a lot of friends. Doing that transition and moving from one state to another state was really difficult on me, and I just had a really dark period in my life. I was grumpy and irritable and annoyed all the time.
Yeah.
And I really couldn't find a reason for any of this. My marriage was good. I have a great husband. My kids were healthy, but I was miserable. And what happened is that all of these negative emotions started to seep into my relationship with my husband and my relationship with my kids, especially my oldest daughter. And our relationship really took a turn that I never thought it would when she moved out and wouldn't talk to me anymore. And at that point, I just felt like if I don't do something to fix this, I'm going to screw up my life and my kids' lives. And I had that, what I call that Popeye moment. You know, Popeye?
Yeah.
Where it's like, I've had all I can stands and I can't stands anymore.
Yeah.
And I opened up a can, like he did, like he opens up a can of you know what,
right,
and gets to work. And that was really like my turning moment, was like, I have to do something.
Right.
And I started to look for answers, and was scrolling on Facebook one day and saw an ad for a life coach. And I Googled her name and found out she had a podcast. I listened to her podcast, sometimes 3 or 4 a day.
Wow.
Digesting everything she was saying, implementing everything she was teaching me. And after about a month, my husband could tell, like, I was just feeling better. Like, things are getting easier. I wasn't as reactive. And then I went to him because I wasn't working at the time. So I had to discuss with him because I wanted her to hire her to be my coach. And I remember like sitting down with him going, look, I really need this. I need this in my life to help me. And when I told him that I wanted to hire him, and he knew I had been listening to the podcast and he could see me changing. And he whipped out that credit card so fast.
He was already convinced. Huh?
He was already convinced. He's like, whatever it takes, to help you feel better and, get to where we need you to be. And that was really how I turned my life around.
You've got a husband that loves you.
I do have a husband that loves me.
That is so awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's also awesome that you would take that step, because sometimes we have these relationships that go awry and it's their fault, right? It's not, we don't necessarily look inside, and that took a lot of courage on your part.
I did. This kind of work is not for people who don't want to get dirty.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard work to get inside the crevices of your brain,
right?
And get into that attic and start weeding through your stuff.
Yeah.
It did take a lot of courage, but it was one of the best decisions I ever made. Was to invest in myself so that I could invest in other people. And ultimately, it started out where I just wanted to invest in my family and my kids and my marriage. And about 8 months into my coaching program, I was like, I have to get this information into other people's hands. And that was the decision that was like, I'm going to become a coach. I want to get certified. I need to share this information with as many women out there as possible.
Yeah. Wow. I want to go back to that moment when you hired that coach and pick up the story from there. So what happened? How did that, you went from taking in their content from the podcast and then the coaching, and talk about how that accelerated, I guess, your transformation. Yeah,
because what coaching does is it gives you the skills to have better relationships. And that was what she was doing. She was teaching me boundaries. She was teaching me how to love unconditionally and how to question my current line of thinking so that I could evolve, so that I would have different perspectives on situations in my life. She taught me that our circumstances are neutral until we actually have a thought about them. And that not everybody thinks the same about circumstances. And she gave me her thoughts that encouraged her, that helped her change. Sometimes you can borrow someone's thought and create change in your own life. It was a very powerful, very transforming experience for me.
Wow. And so what that says is there is power in coaching, and there's power in the transformation that comes from that. So what's happened for you? Not to get too personal, but what's happened for you?
It's funny. My oldest daughter, who took the brunt of all of my mess that I was going through, actually says now it's like she's had two moms. She had a mom before coaching, and then she has the mom now. She says, now you're the cool mom, which doesn't mean I let her get away with everything, but it does mean I'm not explosive. I'm not reacting. And I'm always coming from a place of love and understanding.
Yeah. Wow. That's awesome. Great story from Roanna Rhodes, folks. And she is the owner and CEO of Roanna Rhodes Life Coaching, live coaching, I should say. So Roanna, let's get to your practice. And you decided, because it had been so good for you, you wanted to pass it on to others. So talk about when you started and how all that happened.
So I started the company 4 years ago. And just trying to get the word out, trying to help as many people as I can, networking myself and just growing and putting the word out there and letting people know, that coaching is transformational and that you can rewire your brain. You're not stuck where you are.
And talk about the types of clients you serve. Who describe that? Who that person looks like?
Okay, my clients, like, you would recognize them because they are your friends that are always coming to you wanting to vent. They are probably over drinking and overeating. They complain a lot about their lives, and you kind of feel lost. Like, you know that you have a problem, but you don't have the skills or the solutions to fix it.
Yeah. And I guess there are a lot of coaches out there, and it's hard for folks. I mean, you were able to find the right fit for you. But talk to that person out there that doesn't know, right? That are looking for the right kind of coach. How do you find a great coach? How do you recognize that there's a good fit?
I think if you're looking for a coach, like for me, I lived through it. So I think that's why I'm able to coach stressed out moms, overwhelmed moms, moms that suffer from guilt and shame, because I lived through that and came out on the other side of it. I figured it out. I read the books. I did the work. And I did all that I did all of that so I could help more people become the best version that they wanted to become. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. It strikes me, though, that something that makes you different is that you're not speaking from a book. You're speaking from, although I'm sure you have a lot of principles that come from others' expertise. Yeah. I get that. But you're speaking from your life. I mean, right? I mean, that, and you're really a Sherpa for someone else. You've been on the journey, and you're a Sherpa for them to go on their own journey.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's more than just a mentor, although mentoring is part of it, but it's mentoring and coaching, because coaching is the actual skills. It's the how to get it done, not just that I've walked through the journey and I can support you and encourage you and be there for you. But there's more to that, because I actually give you the skills to get out of it, skills that are linear, to where if you do it in one area of your life, you can do it in another, use the same skills in another area and in another area.
Yeah. Well, and there's an example you bring to the table of courage, right? I mean, because we talked about this earlier, you had to have the courage to say, this is what I need to fix in me. And that's sometimes what people need, is just an example of that, right?
Yeah, I think that's true. You're calling it courage. I was desperate.
Okay.
I was like, yes, it was courageous, but I was desperate to not feel the negative emotions I was feeling. Not really, like not feel the negative emotions, but to get rid of the behavior that the negative emotions were creating in my life. Got it.
Wow. Roanna Rhodes, folks. Roanna Rhodes Life Coaching. She's here in the Alpharetta area, but I guess your clients are all over the place, really, right?
My clients, yeah, because I coach virtually. I've had clients in New York, and I've had clients in London. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah. So I can meet anybody anywhere through Zoom and virtual teaching.
Sure. Covers a lot of time zones, folks. Roanna Rhodes here. So, Roanna, talk about traditional counseling and why the women that you help, why shouldn't they just go to traditional counseling versus engaging with you?
Yeah, that's a good question. I know from my own experience in counseling, it was therapeutic to go and talk, but it really didn't give me skills. Like, it really didn't teach me and how to manage my life. And I think that's really the difference, is that when you come into a coaching session, it's not just listening, it's problem solving. It's adapting a set of skills that you can use over and over and over again to transform your life. But I think that there are certain things that coaches shouldn't coach on. That's my personal opinion. And I certainly don't coach on things like domestic abuse or anorexia or people who are bipolar or things like that. I think those are situations where a therapist is much more useful than a coach. But overall, you can look at it like this. if you're a normal functioning person and you just want to up level your life, coaching is the cure.
So this may seem like a dumb question, but I'm good at asking dumb questions. So and I guess where I'm coming from on this, Roanna, is sometimes we don't recognize in ourselves what's really going on, right? You recognized it in yourself, which I think may make you a little different than a lot of us. And maybe we don't recognize it. What do I need to be seeing in my life that says, hey, here's a wake-up call. I need to call Roanna.
Yeah. If you feel like your relationships have hit a bump in the road, whether it's in your marriage or your relationship with your children, if you find yourself thinking that it's everybody else's fault, right? It's if my husband would just change, or if my kids would just clean their room, or if my mother-in-law just would keep her mouth shut. It's all of those things.
That might be good anyway, but okay, go.
It's all of those things. If you're and I think this is human nature, is that we think everything outside of us, if it was just different, if the house was bigger, if the car was better, if the children weren't so noisy, we could be happy. But that's really not the truth. You can be happy even with all of that going on.
Wow. So how does someone calls you, how does that conversation unfold? And how does a relationship with you, an engagement with you start?
Well, it usually starts with a 20-minute free session that I offer to all new clients. And it starts with just a conversation of them just telling me what do they want to change in their life, and me taking them through a process where I teach them that their thoughts create their feelings drive their actions, and a set of actions create the results that you have. So if you're ever looking at your life and you're realizing, I don't like the results, it always goes back to tracing the thought that created the results that you currently have. When we can get to the thought, that's the root.
Wow. That's quite interesting. Can you give maybe an example of that, how that works? Maybe using an example of one of your clients or something like that. No names, of course, but
yeah. Let's say a frustrated mom shows up and she has a 15-year-old daughter, and let's say her daughter won't keep her room clean, and the mother has this thought, right? Like, she should clean her room. She should do what I tell her to do when I tell her to do it.
Right.
Now, that thought causes a lot of frustration. And out of that frustration, right, the feeling, frustration, comes a set of actions. So how do you behave when you feel frustrated? Right? Well, I'm slamming doors and I'm yelling at my kids.
Right.
And I'm thinking thoughts like, they don't respect me, And those thoughts then later on will lead to bitterness and resentment, which actually creates a disconnect in your relationship with your kids. The truth is, most 15-year-old kids don't clean up their room.
Oh, come on.
Right?
Right. You're right.
Right? They don't, and it's not personal.
Right.
But as moms, we make it personal when we think that they should be cleaning up their rooms. They should be doing what they're told. And an alternative way to look at that is 15-year-olds don't clean up their rooms. It's my job to remind them. And you get to decide every day how you want to show up. And as a mom, do you want to show up grumpy, annoyed, and yelling and screaming at them? Or do you just want to calmly say, hey, it's time to go clean up your room. You can do what you want to do after that's done.
I love that example. That puts it into real flesh and blood example there. I guess is what I'm trying to say. So you have that 20-minute session, and then what are the engagement options? I mean, what typically happens after that when somebody hires you? You meet on some regular basis, I assume.
Yeah, we do. I do one-on-one coaching. I like to do coaching once a week because that really helps us dive into patterns that you're functioning out of and reoccurrent thoughts that you're having, so that we can come up with new thoughts and retrain your brain and create new habits and new action steps for you.
What I hear you saying in there, Roanna, is that thoughts are a habit, and we get in the wrong habit thought pattern, if that's a good term, right?
Yeah, we thought loop.
Yeah. Okay, there you go.
Our neurotransmitters loop over and over and over again, like a dog with a bone. Sometimes it's like you can just grab onto something and just not be able to release it.
Mm-hmm. And hence the need to get after that on a regular basis, as frequent as it makes sense, so weekly.
Yeah, one of the things, too, that I teach my clients is how to coach themselves. So I actually walk them through a 5-step process that they can do every single day, multiple times a day if they need it, where they can trace their thought back to the feeling and to the actions that they're taking.
Awesome. So talk about group coaching. I know you've got a group coaching program as well.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So I have a group coaching program I'm really excited about. In this program, every single month, we take a different topic and we study that topic. And I do live interactive workshops on it, and there's worksheets, and we all come together. And for the whole month, we study that topic. And also in the group coaching program, I teach people how to coach themselves, and then we work on that skill as well. So this has really been my dream when I started coaching, was to have a group coaching program so that I could help more women at a lower price than what one-on-one coaching costs.
Right. And how do folks find you? I mean, how do you get clients today?
Yeah, thanks for asking. They can go to my website, roannarhodes.com, and sign up for a free 20-minute session there with me. They can also sign up for my webinar this Saturday, September 4th at 11 a.m. They can register for that on my website. And that would be an opportunity to come and talk to me and learn something new from me. I'm going to be talking on why you're not taking action and get on my mailing list. I do a lot of webinars and a lot of free coaching, and I want to give people the resources that they need to have the lives that they want.
Terrific. Do you find that folks maybe like to try you in the group coaching and then maybe want to dive deeper into one-on-one?
I do find that. And there is a discounted rate if you're in the group coaching program to have one-on-one coaching. That's an extra benefit of being in the group, most definitely. But there is a real special entity to being in group coaching that shouldn't be overlooked. Because many of us think that we're the only ones struggling with what we're struggling with, you know?
Sure.
And we think other people don't have our problems. And the group coaching session really debunks that, because you could be on a Zoom meeting, in a webinar, and someone can come on and get coached with the very exact problem you're having. And it creates unity. And I think that that's really important, unity and community, and being with people who are like-minded and who want to grow like you're growing.
And it breaks down the as you say, the false narrative that I'm the only one suffering from this. I see all my other friends on social media and they're perfectly socially manicured lives that they portray on social media, and that creates a guilt in me that I'm not worthy.
Yeah.
It breaks all that down.
Right. Absolutely. We all struggle with the same problems.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Awesome work. So, Roanna, I want to repeat again for those that would like to get in touch with you and engage with you and learn more about how you work with folks. How can they do that?
Yeah, for sure. Go to my website, sign up for my free course. That will clue you in to my philosophies. It has a PDF and a couple of videos that will really help you get going if you want help. You can sign up for a free 20-minute session with me on my website, RoannaRhodes.com, or you can find out more about me in the group coaching program this Saturday at 11 a.m.
Awesome. And for those that are listening to this show and it's that first Saturday in September 2021 has passed, be in touch and be on the website and you'll announce more, right?
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Get on my email list. Yeah. That is how you get invitations to webinars. That's how you give out a blog, an informational blog every single week on Tuesdays. And even on my website, there's blogs and video teachings and trainings that's accessible.
Terrific. Roanna Rhodes, folks, with Roanna Rhodes Life Coaching. Roanna, this has been great. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. I'm so honored.
Yeah, thank you so much. Hey, folks, just a quick reminder. If you need a coach for your small business, maybe you're spending way too much time as a business owner on administrative tasks or bookkeeping. If you're up at 11 o'clock at night doing bookkeeping, something's wrong, folks. And I've got an answer for you that involves actually an angel. She's the chief executive angel at Office Angels, Essie Escobedo. www.officeangels.us is the website. And you can go there if you're shy. My suggestion is just call her at 770-442-9246. And what will happen is Essie will listen to your problem, pick out an angel that will fly in, get that job done, and fly out and they do it on an ongoing or as needed basis. And what will happen, it will free up your life and your workday to be able to handle the clients and prospects that you need to keep your business rolling. That's the way it works. And I know that personally because I use her services. So, give her a call, Essie Escobedo, 770-442-9246, and let her know that I sent you. And folks, as we wrap up the show, we're so grateful to you, our listeners. You've been with us now we're coming up on show number 400. We're excited about that. That's coming up here in the next few weeks. And we're grateful to you and how you've supported the show. If you are not currently subscribed, go on your favorite podcast app, go to North Fulton Business Radio, that's the search term, and subscribe. And you'll get all our shows as we release them. Great business leaders like Roanna who do great work and deserve to be found. So we thank you again for your support. For my guest, Roanna Rhodes, I'm John Ray. Join us next time here on North Fulton Business Radio.